Thanks for tuning in to another episode of All Things Entrepreneur, where we shine a light on the blind side of entrepreneurship. My name is Jessica Myers, your co-host.
And Errol Allen, your other co-host. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm feeling good. Living the dream. How you feeling?
I'm feeling blessed and highly favored as always. Despite when turmoil and tests happen, I'm still feeling blessed and highly favored. Yeah. And actually, that kind of just segues into what I want to talk about, if you don't mind, just getting into.
Yeah.
Getting past the wall.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship. Because inevitably, whatever sector you're in, you're going to hit a point in time where you're just at that overwhelming blockade and you're just like, where do I go from here? What do I do?
Yeah.
How would you, one, describe the wall, and then two, what are some of the things you do to get past this?
Well, it's like, you stretch for the gym, right? Mm-hmm. And you go and you're like, oh, I'm stretched. I'm good. My arms are good. I'm ready. Mm-hmm. Let's go. 2024 just started. Everybody got new goals, new visions, new mindset. And then you get hit with life. And you just like wham, or you lift your whole first weight. Well, for one, you want to understand, being in the gym, weights offer the resistance needed for growth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And repositioning and understanding, wait, okay, I'm at this wall, but how do I get to a point where I can peel it back and have growth now from this situation versus falling victim to it?
Yeah, the way I look at it, walls is subjective to whoever the person is in their journey. One person's wall could be, I'm just trying to start this business. Another person's wall could be, I'm trying to go from 100K to 1 million. Like, the wall could be, but everybody's journey is different. But for me right now, what I see when it comes to people getting past the wall, the biggest thing is just fear.
Yeah.
And fear is, some people might call it false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
Other people might say F everything and rise above it. So there's a few ways you can look at it, but I see a lot of people just letting fear of the unknown hold them back from doing that next level, going to that next thing.
But I think that's what we get used to as entrepreneurs, is the unknown, because so much of what we do is trailblazing. You follow a general roadmap, but when it comes down to the day-to-day, I know to some magnitude there are commitments that you're going to get done in a week, but do you necessarily know what each week looks like? It doesn't look the same. So how much uncertainty is that in someone who knows exactly what they're going to do? And that's the benefit of corporate, is that it gives you those systems where every day I don't even have to blink, think, or whatever. I know that Henry Ford factory, I'm going to be putting in the car this way and I'm going to be doing it that way. And I know that that's going to be my job for 20 years and I better not stray from that. But so much in entrepreneurship, you're managing the person who's coming in and running the assembly line, the person who's doing the funding behind that, the taxes, we're going to get the numbers. You are wearing so many hats, or at least overseeing and making sure that the specialists you have and the infrastructure you have in your business is flowing and hitting towards your North Star. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people are afraid because they don't trust themselves to execute. They don't trust themselves to lead. But one of the things that I have to constantly remind myself, when in times that I can get afraid, times that things are uncertain, it's just like, what am I doing right now? How do I get present right now? Is the fear, danger is one thing. It's one thing to be afraid to cross the street, but it's another to, I'm in the street and there's a car coming. Danger is real. Fear is not. And that's one of the things that I had to get clear on. How do I get present in the right now? What is actually happening to me? Is the thing that I'm afraid of happening? No. So now let me wind it back and get centered and present on now and how we can start and reboot and head for the North Star.
That's a great way you put it. Danger is real, but fear is not. I can't tell you how many times someone done told me they were afraid of this happening, but that's not your present circumstances. Yeah. That's just your made up and worst case scenario. Interesting.
Yeah. Because a lot of times it's so crazy because fear is, it's like, what is fear? What is it? But it holds us back from so much. I literally coach my students through this all the time. I had one student where she didn't make a particular call because she was like, I know that they're going to do X, Y, and Z, and I don't want to call because I'm not ready for them to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, well, when you call, they may not even do that. And she was like, well, no, they're going to do it. And I don't want to call until, and so I was like, just call. And finally I coached her through. She called. She's like, I was like, exactly. You were afraid of something that was not real.
That reminds me of my very first deal. I never forget. I called a dude. His name was Mr. Reed Stewart, and he owned 30 properties in the Atlanta area. And literally, when I called, I had every objection that you could possibly say written down on a piece of paper.
With
because
the answer.
Yeah, with the answer, because I was so brand new, and I'm like, I just don't want to mess this up. And so I called him, right? And I was like, would you be open to selling the property? And you want to know what his answer was? Yes.
So you had every objection, but not the yes.
I had every objection ready, and I wish I could get that recorded. I had every objection ready except for if he said yes. And he was like, yeah, I'll sell the property. I'm like, and the reason, wait, what?
You weren't expecting a yes. You were every bit expecting and preparing for no.
Yep. And he did the complete 180. And I tell you, I fumbled, but I still got the deal done. But I was just like, okay, so I'm gonna have the paperwork sent.
Wow.
But that it just goes to say, fear, false evidence appearing real. Even in my own personal journey, I was making an unknown call to an unknown person. I had all the objections written down, and the thing didn't even happen.
Wow.
That I prepared 30 minutes in advance for. I literally spent 30 minutes writing down all the objections, so I had no problems when he said one. It never happened.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people's story right now when it comes to starting off in entrepreneurship or just going to that next level. The thing that you're hedging on that might happen, that might go left, it probably won't even happen.
And that's the thing about having somebody who's a little bit even further along than you. It's like a fifth grader can actually help a preschooler.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, as long as you, for those people say, oh, I don't have anybody in college or a doctorate degree that can teach me how to walk. I'm like, oh, there's a 7-year-old that can actually teach you how to walk.
Mm-hmm.
So there's somebody that may be just ahead of you in your journey that can look back and help you pierce out things that you put as fear or blocking. And because the longer you let the fear sit on you, that's how you get people who go to the graveyard with so many dreams and visions.
Mm.
Because you always think you have tomorrow. You always think you have tomorrow. And it's like, wait, no, I have right now. Because like you said, the difference between what you thought would happen and what actually did happen was you taking action. Mm-hmm. And finding out that it wasn't even there and it wasn't real. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's so crazy because it's more of a mindset than anything. It's more of getting your head in the game and keeping your head in the game and staying focused, because fear comes from all angles. Like what is something that you feel like fear stopped you from and now you got it shifted and it no longer controls you?
Fear actually stopped me from getting cash flow early on in my real estate investment journeys. Yep. And let me explain. So I'm out here, flipping houses, wholesaling houses, making good cash, but no cash flow. In my mind, I had a preconceived notion. Where it came from, I don't know. But I had a preconceived notion that I had to be like in my early to mid 30s. And, I had to do a whole lot of real estate experience. And I had to really go through a gauntlet before I could really be getting in cash flow. And then on top of that, even before I got my first Airbnb, when I was going to get the cash flow, at the time, I thought my net income would probably be $300 to $500 best case a month for a property.
Oh, and you've proven that wrong.
And I had to shatter my own limiting belief.
Oh.
And how did I do that? I got exposed to other people who already did what I was looking to do. Mm-hmm. So when I got into those rooms and I saw how they was moving, and they over here talking about $500, what? That's not even in their lingo. They're
like, you mean for this conversation?
So, and that's the thing. I'm actually one of the people I paid was $500 just for a call.
Yeah.
So I'm over here hearing that information, hearing that confidence in self, and I'm like, well, wait a second. These guys ain't no different from me. They don't come from no privilege, no spoon fed. They ain't getting no loan for $2 million. Mm-hmm. I'm like, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
Right now, where I'm at. Which I was 24 at the time. So once my my switch got flipped per se mentally, literally 3 months later, I already had 3 cash flow Airbnbs, and I was off to the races. And it was not $500 per property.
How easy was it to flip that switch?
I would say,
like, how much time did it take? Because I'm not gonna lie, because I feel like sometimes fear has kept me. It took me 1.5 years to get over some failure that I endured, mm-hmm. right? Or a disconnection from a relationship.
Okay.
And it took me about 1.5 years to get over. But when I finally got over it and saw what was on the other side, it was like, I could have gotten here sooner. So now that I've gotten a situation in life where it's trying to do the same thing, it's like, the sooner I get over it, the quicker I get to the resolve. Like, I'm over here holding on to corporate America to make so many thousands of dollars because I don't know how I'm gonna make it without. But then you get out and you're like, wait, I can make you can make whatever you put the money, the time into.
So my answer is gonna be twofold. I would say, because right now I'm going on year 8 in my real estate investment stuff career, right? So I had the thoughts to make that switch year 2 going on year 3. I didn't make the switch until year 5 going on year 6.
Wow.
I could have made the switch in year 2,
Okay.
year 3. But mind you, that doesn't mean that I was like broke or it was just
fear of entering that area.
Exactly. It was a looming thought that just wasn't acted on until I got exposed to people and information. Now, once I did get exposed, starting the clock from the second I got exposed to people and information to actually executing, that was months.
And that's the interesting part, because it may take you years to be a part of a journey, but it's that the moment that it sparks, it took me that many years to prepare for this moment. It took you that many years. Like, once you got it, and you can't unget it.
Yep.
You can't unsee it.
And honestly, looking back on it, had I made that journey, had I made that switch flip year 2, and done all that, my life would still be good. That's not going to be an issue. But I can see myself making some not best decisions with the extra cash flow coming in.
And that's the interesting part, because as much as we run to the money, it's really about the journey. As much as we run to the destination, Miley Cyrus got a song, it's like, it's not about the mountain, because there's going to be another one that follows. And that really helped me in the perspective, because I was thinking, if I could just get through this, I won't do nothing else. I won't get nowhere else out of state. But then I realized life is constant motion. So just as soon as I get through that, it's going to be the next. All right, you ready? Because when you go to the gym, you get the strongest strength through resistance. And when you understand that everything is not happening to you, it's happening for you. That's when you really have an impactful moment, and you change your business to have an impact on other people's lives.
Speaking of changes, just to take it back, when I was making that switch, one of the big things that I myself was trying to overcome, which I can imagine other people overcome, was making that getting past that mental hurdle of imposter syndrome. Because at the time, now mind you, I got started with the thoughts year 2, but I made the switch year 5. So years 1 through 5, I'm known for doing this one thing in the real estate space. Now here I am promoting something completely different.
You have no evidence of it.
Exactly. Even though I'm still under the umbrella of real estate at the time, but now I'm putting this to the forefront. This is what I'm talking about. And at times, again, I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of, but everybody has the thought, dang, am I really going to be that guy now? Because people know me from this. Even when I was holding events and having workshops at said properties, just to, show hey, I'm doing it. And questions and thoughts will still come up, like, well, how about this other stuff you used to do and what you're known for? What about that? Can you talk about that still? How do you, if you came across it, past imposter syndrome?
I can list out stories of imposter syndrome, because one of the things that I realized, I've found myself in blessed situations, which is why I focused on the method versus my life, because I got some crazy stories that are some of the fortuitous, like I just so happened to get a job working at CBS. And next thing you know, 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, we're bringing in our new host. I just started working here in New York. The new host was Nick Cannon. How I got now, I'm working at New York at 22 at the Nick Cannon morning show. I have no clue. But yet I'm here. And you talk about imposter syndrome, like, he's the CEO, and he was doing everything at the time. And it was just like, wait, you talk about imposter syndrome. And so having access to high net worth individuals often left me like, how do I find my value in this space? And that's why I'm really huge on the things that money can't buy, because those are going to be the things that give you the value. And you have to find and know what that is. I always say, find your 3 proudest moments, your 3 proudest moments that you made you proud. And that's where you'll start to find your superpower. And your superpower is really where you're like, okay, yeah, I may not know what they know, but I know what I know. I know I come to the table. I know I can connect people. I know I may not be the expert at that, and being okay with it. So it's understanding, what are the bounds of my knowledge? What do I own? And how I can be an asset to any conversation that I go into.
And that's a big thing, knowing the bounds to your knowledge, because at one point, again, when imposter syndrome did loom its head to me, I thought I had to know, like, droves of information in this new sector I'm entering, where I had decades of results and testimony on top of testimony and result on top of result. But what I came to figure out very early on is 95% of people who are doing this new task or this space don't even have a result. They may not even have one Airbnb.
Yeah.
I'm over here with like 5, 6 at the time, and I'm still having imposter syndrome. But I'm like, people don't even they're not even making a call yet.
Yeah.
They don't even have a script. They don't have a list when they get the unit, what it's going to be looking like, what's furnished. I'm like, there's something someone can learn from me right now as I am with holding 5 Airbnbs.
Well, like they say, it's always levels to it, because there is always, like, I talked to someone who they represent a huge music artist, and I was like, I'm sure you've been in rooms of millionaires and billionaires, and they were like, oh, all the time. And I was like, do the billionaires still be looking for more? And they were like, I met somebody with 3 billion looking for 5. So that let me know, me at my level is always going to be more. As much as even, I was on my journey to get doors, as much as, we were getting doors, I met somebody who had, so my vision was to get 1,000 doors. He had 3,500 multifamily units. So he didn't even know how many doors were on. And I was like, wow. And to somebody else, they're just like, oh, well, you have at least this many doors and we're trying to get one. And it's just like, it's levels to it. It's constantly somebody, just as you're in 5th grade, there's somebody in 7th. Just as you in 7th, there's somebody getting their college degree. Just as you got somebody in college degree, there's somebody getting their master's. It's levels to it. And so it's just like, let me just own the level I'm in versus keep trying to be in someone else's lane, because there will always be somebody greater than you. And imposter syndrome is always looking at someone else and comparing versus understanding that I'm here too. You're here, and here we are together. Let's work.
Yep. It's a segue. And I know this is the ultimate, because, the theme for today is getting past the wall, getting through the wall. The ultimate wall that everybody goes through is procrastination.
Oh, yes.
The ground zero, getting started in that sector. How did that look like for you?
Oh, and then because like you said, you may be great at one thing and can stay on top of it, but it's the thing that you could do and should do and you don't. And I had to realize that even with my book. My first book, I had it written out 2 years prior to me actually putting it out. I kept putting off the editing process that long, but then I had to really sit with it. And I was like, what is it about this I got this to do, that to do. But if you have to go to the bathroom, it don't matter what you got to do.
You're going to go to the bathroom.
You're going to go to the bathroom. So why not have that same precedence on your dream and your vision? But you have to want it bad enough to do it, because I kept thinking, I'm gonna get it done. But then I kept valuing everything else. And then I'm wondering why things aren't flowing. Why am I stuck? But I'm like, I keep giving excuse. I keep letting a call, a TV show, sleep, whatever, vices or anything else. I keep letting that easily knock off getting my vision and getting that thing done. I keep letting, I need to run to the grocery store and get some milk. Like, I really need to be getting this done, and I will find everything not to do it. So I have to sit with myself and be like, well, why am I not doing it? Well, because there's a mental block there because if you had to go to the bathroom, if you go on a vacation, you can get everything done before you go on vacation. So why am I not getting this done like I would get everything else done? And I would do easily for anybody else. So for one, that thing that helped me is accountability. I write down the goal and the vision that I'm blocked at, and I give it to someone else, and I ask them to hold me accountable. Now, that doesn't always look like, hey, will you hold me accountable for this? It may look like, hey, let's go shoot a podcast, and we have a date that we come together and do. That's going to now keep me accountable. Or I may be like, hey, let's go walk and take a walk on the Beltline, because I know our conversation is going to nudge me forward and get me out of that space that has me not seeing past the wall to accomplish my dream and my vision.
Interesting. Yeah, so for me, taking it back to ground zero, getting started, getting through that wall, procrastination, I honestly might be one of the, I guess, I don't want to say fortunate, but I didn't have a procrastination thing. I actually had a desperation thing. This needed to work for me. Like, I was at the time 19, negative 50K in student loan credit card debt, 580 credit score. I'm like, yo, I got nothing but time and opportunity to make something happen. So when I found something that I wanted to latch onto, I just took it and ran with it. There was no excuses. There was no, I'm going to get to it tomorrow. Because what am I doing today right now that's going to stop me from doing it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Eat potato chips on my dad's couch?
Yeah.
So I was very motivated very early on to make something happen, find my way, and just, prove to myself, not my family, myself, that I am who I believe I am.
Yeah, no, I am who I know I am.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's like you allow your circumstance to be your motivator. And a lot of people, they, when they say there is nothing holding me back but me, because they're looking at their circumstance. And it's like when you're at the table and they say you must be this tall to ride the ride, like you have to get above what that barometer is to get above your circumstance. Because if not, your circumstance will keep you at that level. Like if you're saying, hey, the limiting reagent right now is the money that's in my account, then you will never have the money that you need in your account. You need, and that's what, like you said, exposing yourself to the right team, the right people, the mastermind, changing your environment. Because when you have a plant that dies and stifles, it was not in the right soil. But if you shift the plant and put it in better soil, it will bring it back to life and the nutrients it needs to thrive. And that's what you have to do with your mind. Understand your mind is like the seed in soil. And if you're not cognizant of what's happening in your surroundings and the environment it's in, like the music that you listen to, the TV. And don't get me wrong, I used to work at radio stations and TV, and I didn't think it was that big a deal until I shifted my environment because I needed to get better results.
Yep.
I needed to stay in a different environment where I would thrive and not wither. And that's the power and the importance of watching what goes into your gates, the people that you surround yourself with, because they help determine too how you can elevate above your circumstance and get exposed to more.
It's funny because it's those small little intangibles that you overlook that make all the difference. What you listen to, what you watch, and what you read, the conversations you had with people, what you were talking about, the people that you're having these conversations with, what you consume, you eventually become.
Exactly.
And I, again, fortunate enough, I was able to catch on to that little life hack early on in my entrepreneurship journeys. And I was like, oh, shoot. I'm not talking to none of y'all.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm going to listen to Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Eric Worre, Robert Kia. I'm going all in on this because these people are living the life and have the results that I want for myself.
And like they say, success leaves clues. So especially, for me, and this goes from your current circumstance. If you can only envision a little bit above, you'll never be able to understand about the doctorate level until you expose yourselves to people that are studying for the doctorate. And then you can find so many commonalities. And you're like, well, wow, I know I'm in the 7th grade, but they just show me what's possible. If I keep going in the process, this is where I can go and where I can lead. So it's so powerful to tap in to somebody that may be a little bit further along than you.
So the last thing that I know a lot of people talk about when it comes to getting through the wall, getting past the wall, is the resources.
Oh, yeah.
The connections.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that look like when, not today, but when you had no resources and you had no connections? How did you go and turn that needle to put it into your favor?
For one, I started looking at case studies. I was like, when things worked in my life, how did they work? Because even to be in New York at 22, working at the Nick Cannon Morning Show, like, how did that happen? I knew this person who knew that person, and they then opened the door. So I was like, wait, if associations and connections and resources are the thing that ties you to the very thing that you need, all my solution is to meet more people. So when I started media, the thing that got me at 22 working at CBS in New York is because I joined several media organizations. So when I got into real estate, I was like, how many real estate organizations can I join? Because then that's going to show me the masters in that industry, the people with the consistency, the people with the receipts. And I was going to 4 networking events a week. 4. We had some that Thursdays was like our day, like where you hit up all the networking events from, the Has and Wants with the RIA
and connections, all of you.
You hit all of them on that day. But that's when people, and I was working 2 jobs. So when people try to come with excuses, I was like, I was working 2 jobs and attending 4 networking events a week. And it's not until you meet the right people who are doing, because they're going to tell you what books they're reading. They're going to tell you where they're going and buying and selling. And you get in the car with them. Cool, I meet you Thursday. I'm going to get in the car with you on Friday. We're going to go. We had guests on the show the other day. We go in and meet in their lab. It's like when you get in the field and you start to see how they work, their inner workings, their connections, their resources, it elevates your thinking. And I'm so much into thinking to how they're making it work in their systems. And now I can fuse my knowledge and intelligence in this space and couple it with the resources they have. And what do you call it? Parabolic?
Parabolic shift.
That's how you get parabolic shift. creating that mastermind alliance, shifting the environment, and getting around a network of people that's going to help amplify your results.
When shift happens.
Yes.
So for me, with resources and connections, I started off, the only resource I had was the internet. That was obviously similar to you. I was just going to things, looking for stuff, and then I found networking event. And then once I found a networking event, I was networking with the networkers. I went to, okay, who's the one speaking at the front of the room? And then who's the one that the people who speak in the front of the room with recommend me talking to?
Mm-hmm.
That's literally all. I was very...
But you know, I say I'm a producer. I looked at the person who produced the event. Mm-hmm. Who put it on?
Mm-hmm.
Who was the part? That's what I used to look at, especially even in New York. We used to go to Kodak, would have an event, and they would have Drake and Trey Songz and all that. And I was like, that's great.
But who put it together?
Who put it together? Who called Drake and brought them to the table? That's who I want to know. That's who I want to be.
Yep. So I was gung-ho on networking with the networkers and very intentional. Like, if you just starting off, talk to the people who put the event together and who they recommend you talk to. That's at the event real time. And I just worked it like that. And then you add that with time and years.
Yeah.
Here we are.
And you talk about when you bringing in the conversation of procrastination, just do it. It is literally, I think there's a book is like count to 5 and they say by 3 or 4, just do it. Like, you tell your body 1, 2, 3, do it. Like, tell yourself 5, but don't wait till 5 to do it. Just do it. And when you make more immediate decisions like that, but it comes from being so clear about where you're going, you can be that much more decisive. Because if I say, should I go north to south? Which way should I go? But if I tell you I'm trying to get to New York and I say, should I go north to south? Which way should I go?
North.
Exactly. So
you know where you're going. You got a clear input. Yep.
So when people who are like, I'm cloudy, I don't know, you got to get clear.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's nowhere in the world you can drop me and I say I'm trying to get to New York and you can't tell me how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere in the world. Antarctica, Iceland, they going to tell you, lay out instructions line by line, take this bus, take this plane, and do this shit or wherever you need to do, come hell or high water to get to your destination. But the problem is most people have not set the destination and they're out here saying, which direction should I go? North, south, east, or west? And you're like, where are you going? that's the equivalent. People say, I got a deal. Is it a good deal?
Oh,
well,
man.
What's your North Star? What is? I mean, it could be a good deal if you're a buy and holder, but it might be a bad deal if you just want to get money and leave. Are you going to Texas? Are you going to South Carolina? Because we can write the roadmap as long as we have a destination. And that's the piece where I feel like the fear, the procrastination, because you're not sure of where you're going. And you're hoping that if I head east, I hope I'm going to get to New York. Not knowing that your destination is north.
Now let's talk about, in conclusion, the ultimate wall that we didn't even address, but it's still a wall. Yourself, inner talks. When you have, because they say 70% of the conversation you're gonna have is with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make sure that those conversations you're having are positive and pushing you to where you're trying to go? What did you have to do to make sure that your inner talk doesn't bring you down? Because that can be a wall before you even do the external stuff.
Oh yeah,
that can hold you back altogether if the internal wall just ain't done.
Because what happens is you can hear a lot of noise right now, and if you hear a word from a lot of noise that happens, that's the vibe that you were on, right? So there is a lot of negativity going on in everyone's life. I'm sure you can go and you can find something that's negative. Now they may have 99% positive, but a lot of times that noise, that 1% is going to be amplified the most inside your head. And the thing for me is getting it out like throw up. Like, have you ever had that time, especially as an athlete, where you worked out so hard that you threw up?
Yeah.
But you actually felt better after the throw up.
I didn't understand that for the longest until my coach explained it to me.
You actually feel better. And I would say alcohol, but you don't partake like that to get drunk and throw up. But I know as an athlete, you probably pushed it to the limit where you had to throw up and you feel better after the throw up. That's why I started keeping a pen and paper. And anytime, it's for one, the awareness of the noise. Then really think through what it's saying. And that's where you get to the fear is false evidence appearing real and danger is the real thing. And when you write out the noise, it makes you aware. So when it comes, you can Because you do a fight, right? Or you?
I used to do karate back in the day, yes.
Yeah, you know it's about, now I can block when I know where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like now when I'm aware and I shine the light on the negative talk that I'm listening to, that I'm tuned into, that hit my frequency, if I'm shining a light on it, then that's where my attention is going to go and it's going to speak the loudest. But if I get it out, throw it up, put it on a piece of paper, now I can get back to doing the activity that's the antithesis of that.
Interesting. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
How do you process it when you get negative self-talk?
So,
like, I don't feel like you would have negative self-talk. I feel like your discipline would kick in and be like,
yeah,
where's the shit?
So I'm gonna have to take it back to my early years because I don't have that. So early on when I had stinking thinking, all I did was I spent a 6-month period where no radio, no TV, no sporting events, no nothing. I was on a personal development binge. And this is how serious it was. I would go to sleep and in my subconscious, I'd be playing something, a 6-hour YouTube video in my sleep. And I'd wake up the next morning because your subconscious never sleeps.
Yeah.
I'd wake up reciting and knowing things. I'm like, it was probably from that video.
Mm-hmm.
So I got this out quick and early on in life. And just since I established that rock solid mental foundation early on, I mean, yeah, imposter syndrome might loom every now and then, but my mindset's Fort Knox.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing you can say that's going to throw me off. It's just...
And I think that's where I appreciate about this space that we get to create, because it's dispelling what business actually is. Because when people come to me for a project, for example, versus business, and that's one of the things I had to understand about entrepreneurship and hustling versus enterprising. It's like when you're building out a full scope, you're talking about vision of a lifetime. And it starts with these actions. And when you get so tied into a vision that's bigger than you, every day I'm getting up and working towards that dream and that vision, and I'm putting it in, and I don't care. It's like the negative self-talk, you still got to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
I don't care what it's going to say. And you still got things that need to happen. And that's how tied in and locked in you need to be with your vision and dream to make everything go and be in the direction you're supposed to be.
Well, awesome. I think this was very insightful stuff to learn.
Oh yeah.
I hope this helps out for you guys as well, listening in, because again, you just don't know, in the world of entrepreneurship, there's so many unspoken battles, hidden truths that, they don't always make it to the forefront, but we try to make that, shine the light on it.
Exactly.
We try to bring that to the forefront to help you guys out. So that way, because we're all learning. But at least we can all help one another and, go to the end goal, whatever that is, together.
Yes. And you can see the consistency, the patterns, and the behaviors that go into building the vision that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of All Things Entrepreneur. I've been your host, Jessica Myers.
And your co-host, Errol J. Allen.
Be sure to like and subscribe and tune in to more episodes below. As always, you got it. Let's get it.
Let's go.